What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Spyfall from Cryptozoic. This is for 3 to 12 players, ages 13 plus. It'll take you between 6 to 10 minutes to play around. And in Spyfall 2, this is a sequel slash potential expansion to one of my favorite party games of all time, Spyfall, in which you are going to be going to a random location, and everyone is at the location. Everyone knows where you are, except for one person. One spy is going to be trying to figure out where you are while everyone else tries to figure out who, or in this case, who the two spies are in the game. What am I talking about? Let's open it up. I'll tell you if I like it better, worse, or just about the same as the original. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're to get inside of Spyfall 2. First and foremost, we got our handy-dandy rule booklet. It's really about 8 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. And these 2 middle pages are just all the different locations. They expect you to put this out in the middle so everybody can look at it, but it shows you all the different locations in the game. So, if you're not familiar with the original Spyfall, Spyfall 2 is very, very similar. This is a large group party game, social deduction party game, where one person, or in this new version of the game, 2 people are going to be a spy. Everyone in the game is going to be at the same location. That location will be at everyone's card, except for the one person who is dealt the spy card. What's going to happen is other people are going to ask generic questions about the location to figure out who is the spy or who is not the spy. But as you're asking these questions, you want to make sure they're not too specific, because if they're too specific, then the spy will guess where you are and he will win the round. How does it work? Well, I'll show you how it's set up. At the beginning of the round, what you're going to do is you are going to decide how many spies you are going to have in a game. Obviously, with the larger group, you're going to be much more likely to use 2 spies. And that does change the rules of the game slightly. What's really nice is, if you're familiar with the original Spyfall, what they do is they make these little blue boxes to show you what is different. So if you know how to play already, you just have to read these blue boxes and then you will be up and running. So that is very cool right there. But you're going to decide how many spies you have. I have all my bags already set up, so you are going to randomly grab one of these bags. These are going to have the locations on them. You can't tell which location it is because you put the spy card like that. So let's just say we grab this one right here. So the dealer, what they're going to do is they're going to put this under the table. I'm not actually going to put it on the table because then you won't be able to see it. Without looking at it, they're going to draw out as many cards as they need to do, knowing that the bottom card of the deck is in fact the spy card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So boom, we have to have a 7-player game set up. This goes over here to the side. Make sure it goes face down so no one can see it. And now you're going to mix up these cards and deal them out to all the different players. Let's go over what the card looks like. So this one is everyone is going to be at a wedding except for the one spy. Now, if you want to play the more advanced version of the game, you also can note that down here on the bottom left, it will actually give you a role that you are supposed to ask your questions / answer your questions as. Which can definitely enhance, or, well, we'll talk more about the pros and cons. I really like that version of the game, but it's not going to be for everybody. So now everybody has their card in front of them, and what's going to happen is you are going to start popcorn style asking questions to people around the table, generic questions. So this guy, one that we always throw out is, hey, do you come here often? And the person would say, well, hopefully not. So hopefully not. That one could be misleading, like, oh, maybe that person doesn't like weddings, or maybe they're saying they hope this person doesn't get married too often, or there's lots of different ways to read into that, and that is the crux of the game, reading into people's answers and questions, trying to unpeel their answers to see if, wow, that was a really good answer, or wow, I think that person's the spy. So now this person would have to ask someone else at the table a question. They can't ask the person that just asked them a question, but they can ask someone else at the question. So they'd say, anything to eat around here? They might ask this person and be like, yeah, there's plenty. Which would make that sound like, hey, yeah, that guy probably knows where he's at. But anywho, you're going to continue to do this. Now at the beginning of the round, you set a timer, which will be between 6 to 10 minutes. So time-wise, it's going to be a relatively quick game. So how does the game end, you may be asking? Well, the game can end in 3 possible ways. First, you run out of time. If you run out of time, you kind of do a werewolf-style vote where, except instead of having majority, you have to have a unanimous vote for one person to say, oh, that person is the spy. Obviously, aside from one person, because, well, the spy is not going to vote for themselves. If you're playing with 2 spies, then that changes to 2. Now, if you can't come to a unanimous vote, then the spies automatically win the game, and they get some points, and I'll go over the points a little bit later, but most of the time people choose not to play with points. The next thing you can do is, during the middle of a round, if you think someone is a spy, you can just accuse them, and this is sometimes a really good idea if you think you know who the spy is, because by continuing to allow the game to go, then you're giving the spy additional information, because the third way to do it is if the spy guesses where you are. If they guess where you are correctly, then they win the game, and the game is over immediately. Now, back to that second one, where a player is accused, where you say, all right, I think this guy is a spy. Once again, it has to be in a unanimous agreement minus the number of spies there are in the game. Either way, you're all going to reveal, and you'll laugh and say, oh, you were the spy. I thought that would sound kind of shady when you did that one thing. So how does the scoring work? So each time the spies win, they get 2 points. If the spies win by stopping the game and guessing where the location is correctly, then they get an additional 2 points if they guess where the location is, because both spies can guess different locations. And this is another thing. Now, you can play the game where the spies know who each other spy is, but the one that we found to be the most fun is where the spies do not know who the other one is. Last but not least, the spies can score points if everybody accuses somebody else, if it's unanimous. Other than that, if the spies do not win the round, then everybody gets 1 point, and if you successfully accused the spy, if you're the person that said, oh, I think that person is a spy, then you get 1 additional point. You go until however many points you want to go to, but to be honest, not too many people I know play with the points. They just play this game for funsies, but that, in a nutshell, is how Spyfall 2 is played. Alrighty then, Spyfall 2 from Cryptozoic. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, I like the game better at the higher player counts. You know, it's not bad at 4 or 5 players, but I liked it best when you had the full complement of players, or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players, I should say, with a lot of players. That being said, player reference cards. Come on! People were begging for player reference cards with the original Spyfall, and the fact that Cryptozoic decided not to put player reference cards in the second version of Spyfall is annoying, and it's a nuisance, and it completely makes it so that people are not going to combine Spyfall 1 and Spyfall 2. We tried it one time and found out that it was nearly impossible for the spy because there's just way too many locations to figure out. And that is, we don't even need the pictures on the cards, Cryptozoic. Just give us a list, just a little text list. That would be fine. But, they decided not to do that. Instead, you get this, which you're supposed to pass around the table, and you look awkward if you're looking at it too much. And I didn't like it. A small fix could make that game a lot better. Also, this game is weird in the aspect that I don't necessarily know if I can recommend it to people who have Spyfall 1 unless you're looking to play at a higher player count, just because you can't easily combine the two together. So it's less like an expansion and more like its own standalone sequel kind of thing. Also, another thing, I liked the locations slightly better in Spyfall 1 over Spyfall 2, even though I do think there's some really good locations in Spyfall 2. One more comment I have with this is that, 2 more comments, one's a big one. I did not like the UN location, and maybe that's just because I'm not very intelligent when it comes to things like the UN, but that card came up 3 times, I think, over the course of the time that we played this, because I played it a bunch of different times over the holidays, and each and every time, everyone's like, I don't know anything about this place. And actually, 2 times somebody actively said that, and the spy was like looking at it, is like, oh, we're at the UN. And it's just such a niche location, and what do you know about the UN? I know I don't know anything about the UN, so that location is a dud. I was not a fan of that location. Now, the last big con that I have with this game is that people can ruin this game very easily, and this game can fall absolutely 100% flat. And I had that happen. I've had that happen 3 or 4 times. Not just Spyfall 2, but also Spyfall 1. It's just the nature of the beast with this game. It is a difficult game to wrap your brain around, especially if you're a non-gamer, if you've never played any games like this before. The concept that, oh wait, so one person doesn't know where we are, but we need to ask generic questions, but not 2 generic questions, but not I'm just getting frustrated. And some people have issues being the spy. Like, I've had people just freeze up and be like, I don't know what to ask. I'm the spy. And it just ruined the game. Or I've had people who ask way too obvious questions. And it's just like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I didn't think it was that obvious. It's just one little thing can ruin this game. And the more players you get, especially when you get 2 spies, that can happen. Now, that is somewhat of a moot point, though, because the rounds are so short. So if like a 6-minute game gets ruined, it's not a big deal. You get the cards back, you get a new location, and you're up on your way. But I just want to mention that this game is not going to be for everybody. If you are not sure about it, I would highly recommend trying before you buy this game. But moving on to the pros, Spyfall 1 was hilarious and fantastic. One of my favorite party games of the last few years. And Spyfall 2 is hilarious and fantastic and one of my favorite party games of the last few years. It's just that simple. The game concept itself just breeds hilarious moments, intense moments. When you are the spy, it's so intense when, like, you got one person who's, mad dogging you. They're like, I think you're the spy. And you're like, no, I'm not the spy. And you're just like, don't ask me a question. Don't ask me a question. And then maybe you give a good answer, and then everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's cool. And you're like, oh, I said a good answer. But then your question's bad. So they're like, oh, you look guilty. I don't want to be talking about the game. I want to be playing the game. I love this game. It is a lot of fun. I highly recommend getting this game if you do not have Spyfall 1 or if you're looking to play at a higher player count, if this game looks like it might be for you. Love the artwork. Good rule booklet. I like how the rule booklet highlights the new stuff for if you played Spyfall 1. I think that's a really cool idea. I need to print off my own player cards, which is annoying, but still, very fantastic game. That is Spyfall 2, one I can highly recommend if you're looking to play Spyfall with more players or you do not have Spyfall. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know who's your favorite Bond. For me personally, I really like Daniel Craig and I really like Pierce Brosnan. And I actually like Timothy Dalton a lot too, as odd as that is. But I think I gotta go with Daniel Craig. And I think that might just be because of my age. Like, I was that perfect age watching, like, Tomorrow Never Dies and Goldeneye. But who is your favorite Bond? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.